Welcome to another episode of Shots of Bliss, and the first part of my new mini-series, The Bliss of Questioning. Today we're going to discuss what it means to be human. As I discussed in my last video, which was an intro to the bliss of questioning, of how people develop through their life's experiences a framework of belief that really limits their life and limits them as a human being and really holds them in bondage because they are only allowing their life to be limited to their little framework of belief, and anything outside of this framework is no longer a possibility in their life because they only are focused on their little framework of belief and they're not awakened to the true possibilities of their life and the true possibilities of what it means to be human. So before I get into how we limit our potential as a human being through our framework of belief, before I talk about the limitations, I think it's important that we talk about some fundamental things of what it means to be human. And understanding what it means to be human goes far beyond your mind's ability to remember. You see, do you remember what your ancestors looked like 1,000 generations ago? I'm pretty sure you don't. How about, do you remember what your ancestors looked like 100 generations ago? I bet you don't. Do you remember what your grandparents looked like from 10 generations ago? Most likely not. Not until we get into the range of 3 to 5 generations ago does your mind remember. But the beauty of life is that your DNA and your cells in your body remember exactly what your grandparents and your ancestors looked like far beyond 1,000 years ago. And they remember exactly how they looked and who they were. Otherwise, you would not exist in the form that you do today, because you are the recollection of data that your DNA remembers. And this recollection of data is printed in your body, on your cells, in your DNA. And this is who you are, the recollection of data that your DNA remembers. And this, my friends, is the beauty of life and the beauty of what it means to be human. And thinking about the wonderful fact that you are the accumulation of stored data on your DNA, it makes me question and wonder, when did I really begin? Did I begin when I became a conscious human being? Did I begin when I was birthed into this life, into this body? I don't think so, because if you are the recollection of data, of memory stored from your generations and from your ancestors, if you are that stored in your DNA, and you are the accumulation of this, then this means that you have always been here, just in a different form. You have always been here through the stored data on DNA that is just passed down through generations. And this is just astonishing. This is wonderful to think about. It just blows my mind to think that I've always thought that I was here when I was birthed into this body, or that I got here, boom, one day when I became conscious. No, that's not when your life began. That's when your life began in this body, but that's when your life began in this form. But that is not when your life began. Your life began at the beginning of the cosmos, at the beginning of time. You have always been here, my friends. So now that we understand where we began and that we've always been here, I want to give you a different perspective, someone else's perspective on this other than mine. You could check out my perspective on this before in my previous video, You Are Perfect or You Are God's. I'll put the link to those. But for now, I want to give you someone else's perspective on humanity's perfection and what it truly means to be human. And this is someone that I've kind of followed recently. I've kind of been meditating on their teachings and their experiences, and really is encouraging and really tells truth about life. And his name is Neil Donald Walsh. I don't know if you've heard of him. He has a series called Conversations with God that he's authored, as well as many other books. You could look him up, Neil Donald Walsh. So I'm going to go ahead and read an excerpt from him that really explains what it means to be human and that we are perfect exactly the way we are. We are perfect since the beginning of time. So these are the words of Neil Donald Walsh.
The biggest secret of life is that our growth process is complete. In fact, I'll go further. Growth was never necessary to begin with. That you were completely evolved when you came here. That is, at the moment of your birth. You were born in a state of utter perfection. You're looking into the face of perfection. Most people don't understand that they were finished with what they imagined they came here to do before they arrived. That the purpose of life is not to become more than you are, but to be who you are and who you were the moment you arrived. In fact, there's nothing for us to be or to do or to have that we are required to be, do, or have in order to express who we really are. The process works precisely in reverse. We are not here to acquire anything, but to give everything. We are here to give and to demonstrate the clarity, the understanding, the awareness, the consciousness that we came in here with. And that what I understood then is that you are perfect just the way you are right now. Or to put it in simple terms, which is difficult for some people to grasp or to embrace, you are divine. That is, you are my begotten child. Not just my only begotten son, but you are all my begotten sons and daughters, in whom I am well pleased. And your job is not to somehow get better or become more than you are now, but simply to demonstrate who you are right now.
I love these words by Neil Donald Walsh, because we are not striving to acquire anything in this life, but we are thriving in the satisfaction of knowing that we are perfect and complete exactly the way we are, exactly the way that we were born into this world, into this human body. We are perfect exactly the way we are. When we understand that we are perfect and we already have everything, we were born here with everything, then knowing that you have everything, you freely give everything. And this is the beauty and the essence and the bliss of being human, is giving. This is our nature, the ability to give. That is our nature as human beings. I begin to question, why does giving produce bliss and bliss produce giving? It's just like a feedback loop, a continuous thing. You give, you get bliss, and you get bliss, you want to give more. And why does this happen? It's because when you give, the happy chemicals in your brains are triggered. And this causes you to want to give more, which releases more bliss to your brain, which causes you to want to give more. You see, it's just a continuous feedback loop. You become addicted to giving, and before you know it, we're giving everything to the world. As Neil Donald Walsh says, we're giving it all because we have it all. We were born with it all. We were born complete. Now that we have these basic understandings of being human, I want to talk a little bit about how our thinking and our picture and our perspective of what it means to be human has held us in bondage and limitations because of our framework of belief of what it means to be human that limits us. You see, it's a funny thing that whenever we refer to being human, we always say, well, I'm only human, or I can't do that, I'm a human, or that's not humanly possible. You see, all these statements that you commonly hear refer to the limitations of being human. So instead of referring to our humanity as in this bondage of in this framework of belief of limiting yourself in that way, we need to start referring to the immensity of what it means to be human. You see, understanding fundamental things about our DNA and that we've always been here and that we were born complete helps us understand the immensity of what it means to be human, and helps us to live a life full of potential and not being bounded by our limited beliefs and not being bounded by our limited understandings of what it means to be human. And understanding that we as humanity have unlimited potential. We are eternal beings. We have always been here. We were born perfect and complete. We were born with everything in us. Everything you wanted to do in this life is already in you. All you are here to do is enjoy it and live it out and enjoy the experience and give all you can, because you already have everything in you as a human being. It's in your DNA. It's what you were born with. Even before you were born, you already had all these things. It's just always been there. You've always been here, perfect and complete, exactly the way you are. So quit striving to try and get more. Quit striving to try to acquire more knowledge. Quit striving to try to acquire more wisdom, and realize that all the wisdom and knowledge is found right in here, right inside you. Everything you're striving for is found inside you. And that is the beauty of being a human being. You see, when you refer to the limitations of being human, and when you are held bondage to your framework of belief of what it means to be human, you are limiting your experience. We hold ourselves in limitations this way because we always think that it is little me versus others, or little me versus the entire universe. But no, that is not truth, my friends. The true thing is, you have always been here, and you were born with everything, and everything is inside of you. Therefore, you are in union with everything. So it is not little you versus the entire universe. You see, and when you awaken to the union with the universe, this means that you are flowing with the universe instead of fighting against the universe. And when this happens, you realize the immensity of what it truly means to be human. And this will cause you to no longer refer to the limitations of being human, but rather you will awaken to the eternal possibilities of being human, and you will begin to ecstatically say with confidence, I am human. I hope my talk on humanity and the bliss of questioning humanity really triggers some thoughts in you and cultivates you to question more and get to that place of bliss, to where you just begin to question everything in life, and to where you just begin to question what it means to be human altogether, and that you just begin to explore and discover new things within your being and within your humanity. And you just begin to awaken to new ideas and beliefs, and that this really helps you live a life of limitless possibilities. You know, one more thing that I just want to touch on is that I'm not hoping that you somehow get to some fullest potential, because there is no such thing as fullest potential when it comes to being human. We are limitless possibilities. As Sadhguru says, there is no such thing as having achieved your fullest potential. As a human being, you are a limitless possibility. So I just want to leave with that thought, that you are not here to somehow achieve some fullest potential, or somehow get to some awakening, or to some awareness, or to somehow get to some place to where you have found like your happy place, or that you're not trying to strive to get there, but that this place is always here within you and all around you. It is called the beauty of being human. And these are the things that I begin to explore and discover as I just begin to question humanity, question who I am, question where I came from, question when I began, question what I'm made of. My DNA, I am the recollection of my DNA remembering. That is who you are as a human being. So you've always been here, and you've always been perfect and complete, and you've always had everything within your being as you know it. And it's time we just begin to cultivate and explore and discover those things within us. And when we do this, we will begin to understand and see and explore and awaken and gain consciousness to everything we've ever questioned in life. And this is called the beauty of life, the beauty of being human. I hope you enjoyed this shot of bliss on the bliss of questioning of what it means to be human. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. If you know someone that may need or may be interested in some thoughts like this, go ahead and share it with them. And finally, as always, stay blissful, my friends.